regular traffic coming in, so I'm sure you're gonna be selling as much of the material as you bring in to crush.
The area out in the parking lot is all.
Question.
Yeah, the questions were expansion of the current footprint,
Right.
including a rail spur, one, and two, you're gonna sell the product, how many trucks and what's involved in shipping that out, as well as moving product within the site.
Well, first off, the easy one is the rail spur. I don't think the feasibility of running a rail spur would make it economically feasible for the company and or CSX or the closest transit.
Avon Lakeville.
Okay.
Those were your words, not mine.
Well, we had hoped that we could do that because we thought that, well, the transfer station concept is what took over from that because remember, we had hoped that we could have a transfer station with a rail spur because that's how everything is fed. But we can feed through the already interconnected transfer station system throughout the state and then transport into Avon from the transfer station in on Linden Avenue, which works out to be a blessing in disguise because it answers another question that you haven't brought up again or was brought up earlier. That means we really have control of our own material to make sure that whatever it is we're sending to Avon is really clean.
Clean, describe that. What does clean mean? I know what you're talking about with bio stuff that means like no body parts on it or anything like that.
But clean also means that it doesn't come with any non-natural stone materials or not natural cementatious materials. It is clean of any wood or any fibers. It's clean of any low-level hazardous materials like steel and or asbestos and or roof tiles.
How did they get the asbestos on?
I was told that the asbestos, the Portland
The
concrete, the
concrete.
silver sand, and the lime bind chemically for chemical process
Right.
at the initial making of the concrete.
Those materials shouldn't be part of the,
How do you remove it? You can't separate those.
we're not going to. Somebody else is. And not us. We're not using those materials. Those are materials that we can't take in. Those, huh?
It's in the concrete that you're bringing in.
I'm not bringing that.
There's no way to remove
Judy,
it.
Let me explain something. The concrete that we're bringing in has been certified by a DEC regulated entity. Waste Management, Casella, Environmental Control, Elko Recycling. These people are obligated to know where this material came from. So if it comes from a use, a building and or any construction site that has been certified as having hazardous content, it has to go to the landfill. If it comes from a site where it's known that it does not have hazardous content, then it can go on through the transfer system and end up as our material.
But that doesn't mean asbestos, Portland concrete, silver sand, and lime, which are bound together into the concrete. But you're talking about what's on the surface is clean because concrete is non-absorbent material.
Okay,
That's cleaned
but
off
you just
the
missed
top.
what I just said, I think.
The top, I don't even care about all that other coming in. What I do care about is what happens outside on the parking lot, what blows off of whatever products that you might have completed, as it's drying out there. And I'm
No, it's not drying. It's not drying outside. Believe me, you can't take stuff from a batch plant and just put it outside to dry. It's not, this is not an adobe brick. It goes through a process where it is finished and done and ready for shipment to the end user via the merchandiser like Home Depot, Lowe's, tractor trailer, whatever farm, okay? What we're showing in the front area is the landscaping product in its use. It is going to be a revolving material display of those products, not a drying area or transfer area, because the materials that are scheduled for delivery are going through an internal, oh, here we go. They're going through an internal process which is being designed now for delivery to the shipping area here, and these will be loaded up on the trucks and immediately removed from the site, going off to the merchandise.
So if
We're going to warehouse very little, I'm sorry.
If I was gonna go, 3 years from now, and count the pieces of equipment that I see outside,
Well,
if
there
I were
won't
to
be any.
count the expected number of trucks coming in to move the product that you produce in a day, what would I be seeing, what would I be hearing, what would be going on there? Because that's what makes an industrial site look industrial. What am I going to see?
Are you asking for your house?
Yeah, I don't have anything outside.
Just for anyone driving by.
So 3
I
years.
don't think I have anybody.
So 3 years from now,
Yeah.
the plant's up and running. Visually, what will somebody see? They pull into your parking lot. Will they see equipment outside? Will they see?
There won't be
all
any
of this
equipment
product?
outside. You're gonna see a material display area, a garden area that I think my wife will be very proud of, because she's our lead designer and does all of this work. If you look at the projects that are depicted up in most of those photos, those are projects that she's designed. You'll see the application of the end use of the materials, because that's part of the brokerage material or process that we need to go through with the brokers who are handling our products. You'll see, what's that?
You may see a forklift moving, if you're changing
Oh,
a
maybe.
display.
If
If you're changing a display or building a display, there may be
Hopefully
a
you'll
forklift
see,
out there with a pallet of materials.
You'll see about 80 to 90 cars in our parking lot for our employees or more. And whatever we have next door, you'll see the kids playing in a beautiful new, I might add, my thoughts here went beyond the area. I want to take it outside of its area and berm it, and then landscape it, but use the berm as a natural barrier for the enclosure of the playground. And then, of course, we want to put in an architecturally pleasing fence, but we also are going to put in a surveillance system so that the kids can be observed from the entire use of the playground during the day.
I gotta say, I don't have an industrial background, so I can't really relate to everything. I like the product very much. I don't like the location for obvious reasons that we're hearing from people here. It concerns me to be brought into an industrial looking site, okay, in my mind, okay? I understand what home is. I understand what my quality of life is. I know why I live here. I know, Mike, that you can relate to that because you're also a homeowner. So we can talk on those issues from pretty much an equal standard. And probably everybody in here also has a home. And home has a meaning to each of us. And that meaning is precious. And Mike, I don't think that you can do anything more with what we're trying to do here to allay the concerns that we have about quality of life. You have a good business. I'm very thankful you've moved two things inside. I think your business is going to need to expand because I think that's where the direction of business goes. I think you're going to be very successful. For you to be successful, we have to experience some consequences. And right at this point, because they're so unknown, they're creating some anxiety in some of us. I don't think you can help us with that. I think that ends up being on our boards and our planning department shoulders. to be able
I
to
promise
look
you
at.
this, that I will do all that I can to work with you and the rest of the community, to work with the boards in any way that I possibly can. I think we've shown that, I hope, from the very beginning in our coming to the community with a very transparent approach. And I promise you and assure you that we'll continue this transparency in the best interest of the community. Yes, you got your. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, Rich. That's
Yeah,
your,
go ahead.
that's your
No,
job.
no. We're gonna wrap it up here, so.
Okay.
So far is relocating and stuff like that. And I understand you have a lot of money invested and, if we ask you to move, then we as citizens have responsibility to accommodate you in every way that we can. Would it be possible if somehow we could, accommodate you down there in the the property down there by Gorilla. So far as going in and out of trucks and all that kind of stuff, possibly offset, I don't know how this stuff works, I don't lay any claim, but, you know, maybe through tax offsets or something like that, help offset the money you already invested, because I know, you know, hey, that's business, you know, when you invest something, you don't want to invest it for nothing. Would there be a possibility that if we can accommodate you, you could accommodate us, and, you know, we're all gonna have to give a little bit here and there, but,
Well, there's
would
no
that be
facility,
possible?
there's no facility there. So we'd be looking at building,
Brand new building down by Gorilla, right? Is that what you're proposing?
Yeah, but also,
that would
I
increase the cost.
understand, you know, and I do, I understand it's a lot of money,
Yes.
and how much, you know, it's not now that we're making. But it seems to me in my mind, you know, and especially if, like say, tax offsets, land, I don't know how this stuff works. But in other words, help, Mike to recoup what he's already spent, and then put that towards building something where it would be there, and so far you like you got 20 out this way, you got 5 out this way, there's hardly any traffic there, so it's not gonna be as much of an impact. And if we could, as citizens of this town, and this village, this county even, help offset his costs that he's already expended, and then help him to build a facility that would be out there, plus he would have room to expand, because like I said, business, you know, he's obviously got a good business, it's gonna expand, it's gonna get bigger, which is good, you know, that's, you know, more taxes to the community, so forth and so on like that. Could that be done? Could we even think about that, maybe even consider it?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's a question that can be answered, but it's certainly one that you make, a good question, and I think, as we go through the approval process, that's something that will be looked at, debated, yeah.
Yes, sir. I've been coming to the board meetings and trying to learn about your company. I've been to 2 planning board meetings where you make presentations. Sound and vibration are still considered a possible problem in terms of our zoning laws, that water does not mitigate the sound, low frequency sound, and that came up at the last planning board meeting. I also spoke with some of the operators and people at the daycare who told me that when Metal Aid was there, not only as you came into the daycare, but that the actual walls would vibrate within the daycare from Metal Aid, and that was a much smaller concern industry. So that is, even though it's a solid structure, that's what they experienced, and I was told that. Also, a couple of questions. The material, the binder material, lignin-based, which I believe I saw, which is a plant-based organic material. Do you plan on selling that material?
No, I can't.
Okay. So it will be your patent, your material alone that you will use for your products?
For my products.
Okay.
Now,
and-
we're going to create new products with lignin binder, which is epoxies and
So no other
sealers and-
company can use that? You will not consider letting any other company use it to create product
not my stuff.
from your stuff?
No, because we're making more product. We're making epoxy sealers and binders.
Okay.
Now, Cedar Creek is a separate company.
What are they exactly? I'm not
Cedar
quite sure what
Creek
that is.
is a spin-off of Sweetwater. Sweetwater is the biofuel company that takes lignin products, bio-origin products, turns it into, through a process of synthesizing the products, turns it into a biofuel. The waste from that process was taken by the creator of the original Sweetwater process and founder of that company, Jerry Horton, and he took that material and has created the lignin binders that are used to make epoxies, our epoxies and sealers and binders. The products that we'll sell, the products that we make from those bio-origin binders and so on, as our trademark products, but he will go on and develop more products, which he is doing, to sell to other companies to make other environmentally
I
friendly
just
project.
have two quick questions. You at first wanted a silo and a height variance for a silo, and then you had said at the last planning board meeting, you wouldn't need the silo, you would have a third floor for
Correct.
storage. Will you still need storage, silo, extra room for your facility? And
Outside?
where would that be? Yeah.
Outside? No.
You won't need any storage.
Outside?
Anywhere, how are you, within the building, third floor, with a silo cutting through your building, where's
No,
your storage
we
going to be?
brought everything inside.
Where will it be?
Where will it be?
Yes.
Inside.
But I
We
mean,
showed
where
you
inside,
where-
because
we
you
just
mentioned
showed
the
you where
third
it's
floor,
gonna be.
well, we couldn't tell from that, it's very small.
Well,
They're
Where is
located
it?
mostly in this portion of the building
You,
inside.
you saw the extension of the building here?
This is an older plan.
This whole area is where all of that's gonna be our third floor.
That's your
area.
original site plan, and do you
Yeah.
have new site plans or no?
Yeah, the one we showed today, I know was because the projector was so far back, just showed a
That's
building
the old-
addition to
Yeah,
all
it's a
that
new site
equipment
plan, it
inside.
hasn't been.
Yeah.
Like with actual narratives, not just like a map.
Like
Right.
an actual,
And that
besides a
would-
map, we're looking for a narrative of exactly how this is gonna work. Do you have that yet or not?
At the planning board, that will be presented. They don't
Yeah.
have that quite yet. We wanted to do this meeting and that wasn't ready, but we said this
At
is.
what planning board meeting are you
There's-
anticipating to?
Well, when they appear next,
And what's the date of that?
that hasn't been determined.
Hasn't been determined
Well,
yet?
the next planning board meeting's January 6th, I think.
Yeah, it is. Are you
But that-
planning for
but
that
that-
or no?
Well, that hasn't been determined.
No, we're not presenting it then.
Okay.
We still got some
Have
more.
you submitted new site plans yet to our town?
Not yet.
No, because we changed, we brought everything inside, and that changed the game plan and the
Just
approach.
confirming it.
Yep. Mike Carroll.
A lot of you are my neighbors, and probably don't even know me. How can you stand by this? A couple of points that I'm hearing here. I'd like you to think a few minutes about that whole intersection, four corners up there, and what's gone on over the last 20 years with that intersection. What they're proposing bringing in here is kind of a step forward. And a step forward, and it might help to straighten out that whole intersection and clean up some of the businesses down there that, let's face it, I'm not interested in having an overnight trailer park up on the corner there. I've made numerous complaints about that. What are they gonna do really? I mean, there's nothing going on in this Avon. It's gonna draw better businesses to that intersection. The other thing on the traffic, maybe this is something you guys can work with. I totally agree with what you're saying. You go right into there, you're gonna see a lot more traffic, not just trucks. And that's what was in there, a grocery store and a mini Walmart. And there was a lot more traffic when that was open. We didn't have Royal Springs, we didn't have some of the other developments, but one thing you might consider, Kraft has a program, which they mentioned the Chamber of Commerce meetings, where if you observe their drivers doing things that you're not comfortable with, if you observe their drivers being unsafe, you can report them to Kraft, and Kraft will address them. I don't know how you guys work, the transfer station sends the stuff, you contract with motor freight companies or whatever, but there's an opportunity there to address that safety concern. But as far as the overall traffic and the increase, I mean, I'm up there every day, and I agree with you. The traffic there getting in and out of Royal Springs is probably just as much fun as getting in and out of my driveway.
Mine too.
And my grandkids live there. My grandkids live right across the street from where he's gonna be. And I'm very interested in seeing how this process is gonna develop. I'm also somewhat familiar with it. I mentioned it to one person last meeting I went to. This enclosed system thing, the dust isn't gonna be there. Everything's going back inside. He doesn't want to do that stuff. He wants to make it. So, you were asking about 20 years from now? Think about East Avon 20 years from now, not just what he's doing. He's addressed a lot of the concerns, for me anyways. I don't know about for you, I can't speak for you, but for me, he's addressed a lot of concerns related to the footprint, to the traffic, all that stuff. And he's involved in a process involving the town board and the planning board. Those are the people that serve us. So, you know, I understand the fears and stuff, but at the same time, let's think about what that place has been for the last 10 or 15 years. And what he's proposing looks a lot nicer than what's back. If that looks nicer,